what? Mind Novelty number 4. Can you believe it? 1, 2, 3, 4. We've come back. We're still in the basement of the Alamo downtown San Antonio. This is a nice Alamo Basement Studios. They've been setting it up real good, going next level, but I've got a great friend, great guest, international world traveler, straight from the great, amazing island of Sicily, Gabriel Gandolfo, right?
Yes,
is that close?
Yes,
is that close? Why don't you say it so everyone knows how to say it? How do you say your name?
Gabriel.
Yeah.
The real name is not Gabriel, but...
We'll say it the real way.
Gabriele.
Yeah.
Gandolfo.
Gandolfo. Do you have a middle name or two?
Yes, Alessio.
Alessio. Okay,
Yes.
that's nice. One cool thing that... I always say Gabriele, but does that work? Does that...
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah? Okay. One really cool thing is that you're a professional opera singer.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Right.
You can sing opera.
Yes.
I can't get you to sing right now, I guess. It wouldn't make any sense. You can't do that. It's kind of like asking Van Gogh just to paint something for fun.
Yeah, it's more like that you feel naked, so suddenly, without knowing that you were going to be naked, so you normally don't want to do that. And yeah, so it's, you know, it's an emotional thing more than other problems.
Emotional. With your opera, when did you first realize you wanted to sing opera? Because it seems kind of, I mean, look, you're young. Well, I mean, I'd say you're young at heart at least, but you're in my age range, and a lot of the people listening, and I feel like a lot of the people listening probably have never even heard an opera song. They know what it is, never been to an opera, and never heard it. Obviously, we're talking, most of the people listening are probably from America, but growing up in Sicily, was that something in your family, or was that...
Well, I would say that when I was at school, probably no one went to opera. I don't know. I don't think it was not a matter that you were going to talk at school. And the reason why I sing is because my father had a choir, and I was singing in this choir. And then when I was starting to be 13 or even younger, he was giving me small roles. So the rest of my family, my mom, the other two brothers that were already studying singing, opera singing, and I was the only one that I was not studying it. And I was feeling the difference. I could see that I was not in control of my voice. I was just singing, and that was embarrassing me.
But you mean you realized that you couldn't sing? Or you could sing, but you didn't have...
No, I could sing, but you can immediately feel the difference in between someone that is singing opera, that has the training and all of that, and someone that doesn't have the training and doesn't study for that kind of technique.
Well, that's a very interesting question, is how much of it is training? Like, are there opera singers who are just born able to sing opera?
Yeah, there are people that they have a easy way to project their voice, and that it's just because of the nature, the way that you speak, the way the place, the country where you were raised also, that can help a lot. And other people that have all the difficulties because maybe the dialect that they were speaking and other similar situation, like maybe you live in a place where it's always loud, and when you talk you are always yelling. That is not going to help you for singing, for example. So going back, the reason why I studied in opera is because I was not really interested in classic music and opera, and because my father was in some way pushing me, it was not like you have to do that or I'll kill you. But
well, you are from Sicily, so
well,
it sounds like something that could happen. He could just say, "I'm going to kill," or "I'll have someone else kill you."
No, it was like, well, you have this role, so you have to sing. And you can say, no, I'm not going to sing, because, you know, there is a full show that is built, and you can say, no, I'm not singing, and also, you know, you feel like, oh, I have to do that. But anyway, it was not like, oh, I didn't have psychological issues because of that. It was like, I wanted you to do that. It's not hard for me to do that. I'm singing since I was 3 years old, now I have 10 or 13, so it's fine. So I said, well, if I have to sing, then I want to go to study. Because I see the difference. I'm not singing so well like I could, and so I want to study too. So
And you decided that?
yeah, and
Like
my
100%?
parents, they say, okay,
Yeah.
let's do that. And then the teacher was saying, well, he's too young. What? Well, okay, let's do like whatever. So then only when I was 16 years old, when I realized that the military life was not for me, I decided I should try the singing. Since everybody is always saying that I have a nice voice, I sing well, whatever. Let's try. It's interesting. It can be nice. You get to do many of the things that you can do in the real life. You can kill people and be okay. You can't have many women and be okay. So when
You can't have many women and be okay? You're
Well-
Italian, aren't you supposed to be able to have lots of women and be okay?
yeah, but the point is that when you are in the opera, you are hurting that woman or that man that you killed the son or whatever. But once the opera is done, no one is hurt.
Yeah.
Because it's done. In the real life, it's a little bit more complicated. So that was an easy way to do all the things that you can do in the real life without, having
that's
troubles. And also you get to feel all the sensation that you never felt. Like you never killed someone, or you are not without parents because they got killed. I mean, fortunately, I was not someone like that.
Are you talking about like the storylines?
Yeah, I mean, when you are...
Because I don't know, like, look, I've been to one opera,
Uh-huh.
and it was, Pagliaccio?
Mhm.
And is that Rigoletto?
I Pagliacci?
Yeah.
No, Rigoletto is another.
That's a different one. Is
Yes.
it the same
No, it's another
writer?
It's
Okay,
also
totally
another
different.
time.
Which I think I only know Rigoletto just from watching Woody Allen movies.
That's possible.
And that's it. Like, I think it was the most recent one, No, it's not Life in Rome. To Rome with Love.
Mm-hmm.
Did you watch that?
Partially. I don't really like Woody Allen.
Yeah, like Woody Allen.
It's
Yeah,
not
we
the-
differ on that point. For sure.
It
But
just
yeah,
depressed me. He's always having troubles and psychological issues.
well, for
All of
sure.
that.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you're right. So a certain personality type likes that. I mean, I
Yeah.
can relate to the depressive
Uh-huh.
things every now and then, or the pessimistic worldview.
Mm-hmm.
But he's always talking like art and philosophy, so you regulate them. But so, yeah, that the clown, it's the clown. Everybody knows the clown.
Uh-huh.
If you hear the songs, if you've never seen it, like when we went to the opera, halfway through, I'm going, well, I actually know a lot of these songs, but didn't really know anything else about it.
Mhm.
But the opera was, like, this is San Antonio, which I think you could speak to the quality of San Antonio Opera. I'm assuming that it's not that great, but it was still really good. That's my point, is like, it may not be the best, but we had a great time, and I really enjoyed opera. So then I think, like, man, if I have a chance to go see opera somewhere where it's like really top level, I want to go take that chance and that opportunity, because like those storylines are pretty gangster. Like they get intense.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah, and many times, I mean, if you, for example, you get the Masnadieri from Verdi, and you read the libretto, it's not so exciting. It's an interesting story, but you see that it's like a movie that was cut in many scenes. But couldn't be there for 10 hours, the public. So, but if you get the tragedy from Schiller, it's amazing, the story. So then if you are someone that likes that kind of things, if you get to do that, the role that is good for your voice in that opera, you can read the tragedy from Schiller, and when you are on the stage, you can still think about the tragedy, and you can leave all the sensation and all the situations that will be in the opera, like you are not yourself anymore, you are just that guy.
yeah.
So you get to feel all the feelings that role has, because how it is.
In a way, isn't that very similar to method acting? I don't know if you're familiar with that term or that phrase.
No.
Where an actor, so if they're playing a role, and like old Robert De Niro,
Mm-hmm.
I think is a good. I don't know if you ever watched Raging Bull or not, but he's one. I know there's a handful of others. I think Sean Penn supposedly does this too, where whatever their character is, that's who they are while the movie's shooting.
Mm-hmm.
On set, off set. You know, on camera, off camera, they become this person.
Uh-huh.
So if they're an asshole in the movie, they're an asshole off the movie too.
Yeah.
And they like absorb the emotions of that person.
Mm-hmm.
And look, with De Niro in particular, when you go back to those early roles, like the first Godfather, was he in the first Godfather or the second one? But Raging Bull in particular, it's so intense and it's so real, and I feel like you feel that. So in other words, do you feel like that's similar at all, or?
I don't know the movie industry. I never been in a set, but I would say that I think I can say that for them it's even harder, because you know, you get on the stage, the opera starts, there is nothing that is going to stop anything. There is not the director say, no, wait, this is not good, let's do that again. So we, on the movie, we get, you know, when you are at the theater at home, you get everything in a continuous time, and, you know, scenes after scenes, but they do all cut and all of that. So if they really are able to do that, they are really professional. I thought sometime about in the past, like, oh, I could be an actor, and then when you know, you are the actor and you see everything is behind the camera that the normal person don't see, I lost the excitement, because it becomes more a job. It's like a little bit less of art, without offending anyone. But,
yeah, it seems like I've heard the same thing before from other people, that you know, it's very, you show up, do your thing, retake, recut, retake, recut, edit, listen to the director, wait for the director, fight with some people on set.
Yeah,
I mean, very rarely is it really smooth. And I think those
like
kind of...
the porno movie stars, the men, unless they take pills and other things, are real stallions. I mean...
Yeah, the real...
are crazy.
So in a way, those are like... So that would be comparable to opera. Like a guy who can stay really hard all night long on a porno set with multiple women, that would be a professional porn star. That's professional. But if you've got to supplement it and you got to play games and tricks, you're not as much of a professional.
But on the other side, it's a tough world, so you have to help yourself. I mean, even in opera, officially or theoretically, there are no microphone in the opera. But then I had some stories told from opera singers that were famous all over the world, that were strange things were happening on stage. Like the soprano didn't want that you were coming close to you. Where the soprano didn't want that you were getting close to her. And during the opera he realized why, because he had a microphone. So if you was getting too close to him, he was getting in the microphone, and that's looked down upon, right? That's unethical? Is that like lip syncing? Like if you're Beyonce at the... I don't know. I don't... You know, you don't know everything is beyond... I don't know, I'm not a star, so I don't know exactly what happened at the Met or in other big theater. Maybe...
But if you heard someone you liked and you really respected, and you found out, and you had gone to see them, and you thought their performance was excellent, but after the fact you found out they had a microphone, would you respect them as much?
No. Okay. But not because of me, because of the past. The comparison to other singers. I mean, I don't care whatever it does. Maybe there are other people that say, well, you have to do that, or otherwise you don't sing. Everything is possible in this world, so...
Yeah.
But today, it's not like 30, 40, 50 years ago, when you were going to hear a singer probably at the theater first, and then maybe you were buying some recording. Today I probably heard many times that same singer in many different recordings, and you can see if it's a live recording or not. Well, that is not true. That is not true because since I guess 10 years, some big singers have the opportunity to say, okay, we are doing a live recording, but we are going to record every night, that I sing, and then we are going to cut all the pieces that I want and that I prefer from the different performances, and then we do one only package.
So they do 3 or 4 performances and then cut?
Yes. So if that note in one performance was not coming well, maybe the day before or the day after will be better.
Yeah.
And that is not live anymore. I mean, it's a mix of live things, but it's not the same thing that was 40, 50 years ago.
Yeah, I think like stand-up comedians do the same thing. When they record a special a lot, they'll they'll perform maybe 2 times that night, and they'll take the best cuts. Typically, I don't know. I know some people have done that. One thing I find really interesting that I want to talk about, because it's actually come up a lot in my conversation with other people in America, is, and we've talked about this a lot, and we were just talking about staying hard for pornos, is specifically the difference in perspective from the European view, we'll talk Italy, the Italian view of sexuality versus the American view of sexuality. And I know that was one of the things that really, from our past conversations, that stuck out to you. Like, in other words, you kind of think that America's kind of crazy, right? Overall, on sexuality?
Well, yeah, there are a couple of things that are interesting, that you see how the point of view is really different. Like to see a nipple on a girl while she's walking on the street, even if she has a bra, is something that can happen all the time in Europe.
Yeah.
And here, sometimes you feel that maybe girls don't have nipples. Now, again, I don't want to offend anyone, but that is a thought that you can get at some point. And also see a girl without a bra as kind of a hard thing here. I think.
And you're just talking bras. You're not even talking just topless.
No. Yeah.
You're only talking whether or not you can see a nipple.
Yes. Or a breast without bra.
Yeah. Under a shirt or something.
Exactly. Yeah. Still.
And that's not even that extreme.
Yeah,
but growing up, right, like on TV in Italy, topless, no big deal, right?
Well, at the beach.
At the beach, everywhere.
Yeah, all the time. And you are 5, 6 years old, and you start to realize the difference because you start to wear a sleep, how you call the bathing suit.
Yeah.
Because before that, many times you are completely naked.
I like to say Speedo.
Speedo.
Really small, tight.
Well, today is not so common anymore either, but whatever. So, yeah, you are at the beach and you see this, many times are foreign people, Germany or French people, and you see topless all over. And the thing doesn't bother you. I mean, it didn't bother me when I was a boy. I was not having any specific crazy thought like, oh, I will run there and touch.
And go rape her or something.
Or exactly. Yeah. And when I was, when you get adult and, you have a different mindset, it's not always that you are looking for something to see or sex or something like that. Anyway, sometimes you go to the beach and after maybe 30 minutes that you are there, you just realize next to you there is a girl with topless.
Yeah.
And unfortunately sometimes it's not even nice to see because not having a girl has a nice breast.
That's right, and that's for sure. I think that was the first thing I noticed when we'd spend time down in Mexico on the beaches, because a lot of Europeans down there as well, and you always had this idea growing up, especially in America, like oppressed, conservative, socially conservative America. You're raised, like you said, a nipple's bad. So you can't even see a nipple, even though that's what gives you life. Like, a nipple's a very powerful, wonderful, amazing thing on a girl. It's pretty useless on a guy. But the nipple and breast...
Still, aesthetically, it's still something. Imagine your breast without nipples. It would be kind of ridiculous and strange,
Well, are you saying on a woman or a man?
No, even on a man. I mean, it's symmetrical. It gives something more. It's a different thing, It's not a flat pink or black or whatever color, but
just give some diversity to the canvas, I guess.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, it's flat. It's a sort of flat landscape, and then you have a hill. It's different. It was completely flat, right?
Yeah, that's true. It just doesn't serve as the same kind of purpose.
Oh yeah, but
You
not
can't
all
get-
the heels are.
I mean, I don't know. I can't reach my nipple, but I'm sure growing up I would have tried to suck the milk out or something
Oh yeah.
when I was a little kid. Well, you always just think like if you're a kid growing up. Well, okay, that's what I'm saying. Like, so in America when you're growing up, all that stuff's so bad
Taboo.
and crazy and taboo. Yeah, and look, not everyone grew up, in a conservative household in America for sure. So I don't want to misrepresent everybody, but most of America. And if you just look at modern America today, the whole stupid Janet Jackson thing from a few years ago, the Super Bowl, it's like, I think we had this conversation where you should celebrate a nice pair of breasts. Like, why not?
Yeah.
Like, this is something beautiful, just like Venus. So we can go to any of the great museums in Italy, which we've been to, and I know you've been to a lot of them, and you can admire this amazing form of the human body in art. But modern, if you do the same thing, it's in America, it's considered obscene and pornographic, and you're just going, why can't we just appreciate the human body? But I guess it goes back to what you said with the beach, is not all the human bodies are all that great in the
Sometimes
first place.
you feel, well, I would like to tell her to just cover everything because it's ugly. But you don't do that, you just don't look at it. I think that there is some, Romeo and Juliet from England, and I think this is something that comes from England. Some
like a prudish,
yeah,
like a Victorian sensibility.
Puritanism thing.
Very puritanical. I agree. I totally agree. There's a lot of, when you look at American history, you see that all the rules regarding obscenities, like going back to the late 1700s and early 1800s, when that stuff started coming down into law, that was an English sensibility. Mm-hmm. Because America was very sexualized, like early America. What's the French writer that spent a lot of time in America writing about American culture, the early 1800s? Why is my mind blanking right now? Who is that? Anyway, I can't remember who it was. But when he's here visiting America and he's writing and he's traveling and experiencing culture, he's actually writing about how much more free America is in sexuality than even France and other places in Europe he'd been. But then here come the fucking English, right?
Uh-huh.
And we're going to make these laws, you can't do this, interracial. Like, apparently, it wasn't uncommon to find bars and prostitute, what's the word I'm looking for? Not bordellos or something, where it didn't matter if you were of different races or ethnicities, your skin color is different. You could service it, no big deal. You could have sex with someone who had dark skin and you had light skin, or an indigenous person in America. It didn't make any difference. And then here come the English and started passing laws against all those acts.
Yeah.
So I absolutely 100% agree. The English have caused a lot of problems around the world.
Yeah.
And sexuality is definitely one of the worst things they've...
In Italy, it's a famous joke, like, no sex, we are British. So I don't know if it's true.
It probably is. It probably is.
What they say. So.
But over there, it's just not a big deal, right? Is that kind of the point? It's just not even a big deal. So if you wanna, I don't know, you explain.
I don't have any. You talk about the topless, for example.
Yeah, I mean, just in general. Yeah.
I don't have any friends that was being topless.
Yeah.
At the beach.
Okay, look. Can I give you an example and see what you'd say? So, like, growing up, if a movie was on, and here's a topless scene in the movie, right? And it's a sexual scene. She's supposed to look good. She's got nice, solid, nice breasts. If my parents walked in as a younger kid during that scene, automatically I'd feel guilty, or I need to turn it off or fast forward it or something, change the channel. Would you ever have felt like that as a kid? Or what would have happened?
We were watching movies, you have a dinner around 8:30, and then we had the movies normally on TV around 8:30 or something like that. And all the family was watching the movie. So my parents, me, my brothers, and unfortunately I don't remember when Basic Instinct.
Oh yeah, it's a good movie.
Out.
It's a good movie.
When was? Do you remember the year?
Yeah, I'm gonna guess 92.
92.
92. Probably. I don't know.
Well, anyway, I was not even 16. We watched that movie with all my parents.
With your parents too?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Probably I was even having some erections during the movie, and you know it's fine. My parents are there, and
That sounds like the most healthy example of sexuality I've ever heard in my life. Because I don't know that I've actually ever met a person who would have had a similar story. I don't think ever. Maybe. They're probably not.
well, you know, that lady's naked. You didn't put her naked. The movie is telling you a story, and you know when you grow up and you studied, you know, comedies, tragedy, Greek things, you're not watching the movie telling you, or the other people that are watching the movie with you, oh wow, but that is a movie, that is not real, that is fake. You just watch the movie and it's like being at the theater, seeing a comedy or a tragedy. So that is something, and you look more for you are with Michael Douglas, and you are investigating this thing, and you are finding yourself in that situation, and that's all. That doesn't mean that tomorrow you are going to having sex with the first lady that is circling you. I don't know how you say. Trying to seduce you.
Oh,
or,
yeah.
you are going to kill someone because the night before you saw the movie and you killed someone in the movie, so you are going to kill someone in the reality. But so you are watching this movie and you are looking more the masterpiece, or I don't know how you say, but yeah, it's like a artistic thing. You see the movie as a creation of an artist, and so if the movie sucks, the art sucks.
Yeah.
And so I was never bothered by sexy scenes. Actually, I was hoping and waiting
yeah, you hope to happen
to see that, and I think my girlfriend is not agreeing with that, but I think in the last few years we are seeing much less naked scene on TV, on movies.
Much less.
Much less. I think before we were seeing much more breasts, legs, butt naked. Much more often a man was without a t-shirt. Now when men are sleeping in the bed, are always with a t-shirt.
They even have a t-shirt on. I wonder if that has anything to do with how I've thought about this, that a lot of the big...
Eddie Murphy. How many breasts you were seeing, Eddie Murphy?
In an old Eddie Murphy movie?
Or maybe actually now I have a solution.
A lot
for
of titties.
that.
A lot of titties.
I have an explanation for that I just learned a few months ago. You know Red Fox?
Oh yeah, I love Red Fox.
Yeah, I liked him a lot, and so I didn't know a lot about him, and I did some research.
Oh, he's dirty.
And I found out many things that are absolutely crazy for me. I mean, someone could say sometimes that I'm racist because I call black people or people that are not white colored people.
Yeah.
But that was our way in Italy to say that, and I don't mean to be racist, but it's a different color. If you say what black and white, the TV is black and white, it's black and white.
Right, absolutely.
And the color, it's the one that has color. So anyway, I didn't know that black people were known for being more dirty or much more
sexualized.
In the sexual
really,
field. And for me that was, so now I can explain why there were much more naked girls in the Eddie Murphy movies. I guess that is the reason, because he was dirty, because he was a black man, I don't know.
Yeah, I think actually you're onto something, because like when you look at slave culture in America, so you go back in the South in particular, marriage wasn't all that common on a plantation.
Okay.
And so the relationships were very free, and in a lot of ways, I would call it more egalitarian than a modern relationship, because you didn't really get married. I'm sure, obviously, there were married people. Don't get me wrong, but you had what was called sweethearts. So your girlfriend was a sweetheart, and if you had a kid with your girlfriend, they weren't called a bastard like English culture and looked down upon, and it was negative. That was a sweetheart child. That's what they called them.
Okay.
The sweetheart child. Like, I kind of like that. It was awesome.
Yeah,
They respected, like, in a certain way. And obviously, when I'm talking about this, I'm not trying to talk about slavery as a legal concept, which is abhorrent and disgusting and gross, and it's 100% to do with the government. So, like, let's just get that out of the way first. Second, you can still examine the actual culture and human relationships that were taking place. And what was happening was men were sleeping around with a lot of women, and vice versa, and it wasn't considered bad. And in a certain way, these sweetheart children were raised by the community in a certain way, on a plantation or whoever friends were with that woman. And nothing, like I said, nothing bad. And then here comes English culture after slaves are freed, after Civil War, and in the South, the English power structure in the North did not like that. They hated that. They wanted to force these people into the English concept of marriage, because that was the right way. Like, that's it. They just saw things right and wrong. So long story short, I feel that's permeated, into modern culture. And why should it not? Because if I'm raising, like, if I don't have a problem with sexuality in my life, and neither does the person I make a kid with, then that kid probably isn't going to have a problem with it either. And so you're passing that meme down generation to generation. So obviously it makes sense that it would still be around today. I guess that's all I'm saying. So I think, absolutely, I think there's a lot of historical basis for that in particular as well.
But yeah, that makes sense. But on the other side, from the Italian point of view, Eddie Murphy was not surprising me at all, and Red Fox in his jokes doesn't surprise me either. So, well, everything has a different way to. So, the black people had a different culture, and they got to the joke in their way. But if you get Boccaccio, that was in the Middle Age, he was having, he wrote the Decameron, that is a big book talking about a lot of stories that are very sexy and with a lot of sex inside. But he was not coming from a black culture. What I mean is, here we have this explanation that black people come from that culture, are bad things, and they lived in that situation. But on the other side, we had a completely different culture, and we still enjoyed the game,
right,
and the jokes
so
on the sex.
I feel like the big picture way to examine it is to simply say, being prudish or having conservative sexuality is something you have to be taught. You have to be taught that. And there's a great, which I haven't checked it out, and I've listened to a couple of his interviews. Dr. Chris Ryan wrote a book called Sex at Dawn, and I'm kind of excited. It's on my Amazon list right now. But he talks about how, early human sexual relationships were nothing like they are today. And a lot of them were polygamous, and a lot of very open relationships. Some of these societies required, I can't remember which society it was, but it required you in a ceremony to have sex with everyone else except your partner. Like, that was the only person you weren't allowed to have sex with. And he tied that into even modern day, how if you're in a risky profession with where it's really likely that the men are going to die, you'll see it's more common than average for these people to share sexual relationships with their spouses, with their wives or girlfriends, because they think there's like something in the back of their head, maybe it's subconscious, where they know they're probably going to die. And if they die, they want their woman taken care of. I say woman, but you know, like Mexican, like mujer, mi mujer, but like their partner to be taken care of, or their kids to be taken care of. And I actually have read in the past that with 9/11, a lot of firefighters lost a lot of lives going in after the planes crashed. And you find a lot of women who are widowed who end up marrying their spouse's like partner or someone else who worked with them in the fire department because there was just this thing of taking care of people. And it's just interesting. I mean, and you can tie that into like bonobos too and how they live their sexual societies. But yeah, I just feel like it's something that has to be oppressed because it's not natural.
Well, I think it's almost all the time that way. And I mean, even the
pedophilia
problem. I think it's. I mean, I think there is a lot of hypocrisy, and I think we go a little bit crazy with that. Of course, I'm not. It's absolutely crazy that you can think about having sex with a kid.
Yeah.
But we all know that when a girl is sometimes 10 or even earlier than that age, they are having their period, so they are women practically.
Biologically, they're women.
And in the middle age, they were getting married at that age.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you take a girl and a older guy that can be let's say 30 years old, or even 16 years old guy with a 30 years old girl, and they have sex in a different situation, I don't think there will be any psychological issues with that.
Yeah, because I guess that's the argument, is the saying an old person's going to take advantage of this young person.
Yes, well, then it's a different thing.
Yeah.
The taking advantage, or even psychologically, because of course a 30 years old man can have a lot of influence on a 12, 13 years old.
Yeah.
No doubt. But the fact itself, I mean, there can be love in between the two persons. And I mean, my father is 13 years older than my mom.
Ooh, wow. Yeah.
She got married when she was 16 years old. And
that would be rape, statutory rape.
That would be something
Yeah.
absolutely crazy. I don't think I am someone that has psychological issues or sexually disturbed, disturbed that involve the sex, problem with my sex life. And I think my mom is a perfectly normal person that is not under the power of my father.
Right.
I think there is they are still married. My father is 77 years old.
And he's awesome. I love your dad. Yeah, I love your dad.
And they still have sex. And
that's powerful. Yeah. 77.
And
respect that.
My mom is not. I don't know how you say in English, but it's not depending on my father. It's, I would say, even more the opposite. The situation. It's more my father that is depending on my mom. So I absolutely agree that is not something, especially how the society is going now. If a guy that is 30 years old is having sex with a girl that is 12 years old, is not a good thing, especially for what everybody thinks. So even what the girl will be fighting with many thoughts in her mind anyway. But when someone tells me that a boy that is 13 years old is having sex with someone that is 18 or 20 is having issues, that is the most ridiculous things to say, because every single man should be honest and say that was dreaming about having sex
you're
or
right.
something else with someone older. So
like when you see the whole idea of the school teacher going to prison because she had sex with some teenage boys, you're like, that's a hero.
Exactly. And also because, from my point of view, for my sexual experience, I'm not a psychologist, okay, so maybe I'm just saying stupidity, but by my experience, when I was when I was 16 or even younger, I was dreaming about a woman all the time. Actually, my first preferred woman, I was in before elementary school. So, and I always had like a ideal woman to look for.
Yeah.
So, always, all the time. And now, if you say that after that a guy that is 15 or 13 years old is having sex is not going to be the same, so it will be much more, his desire to look for sex will be stronger, that's for sure, no doubt, but that is something different. Now if we can be honest and open and say that, then we are just being hypocritical, saying that, oh no, that is a bad thing because that is a rape. That's bullshit.
It is kind of bullshit because, like we said. Oh, and by the way, Basic Instinct, I was right. 1992, budget of $49 million, made $352 million.
So maybe in Italy it was 1993. I don't know.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it was like a year later.
Like yeah.
It seems like movies like this. Like, America has this problem, I discuss this a lot with a lot of Americans, is to put it in context. Like, the average European, it seems like, I'll let you speak to it, but it seems like you view America as this really violent, like, they love violence and guns and killing and explosions, but sex, nah. Like, no, that's not good. And it seems opposite in Europe. Like, it seems like the violence is, no guns, like no one has guns and everyone's...
That's true, because if I remember, I think about my family, the sex was not a big deal.
Yeah.
But my mom was doing some comments about the Eddie Murphy movies, where there was like 10 minutes of shooting, no one was dying, but, it's a lot of violence. There was that perception.
Oh, that's interesting.
But
okay.
I never heard any comments about, oh wow, so much sex in this movie. Never heard that.
And it was the exact opposite for me. Like, my parents never said anything about the violence, unless maybe you're watching something really extreme. But on average, violence, whatever, no big deal. People die, people get killed. Oh, there's a nipple. Cover your eyes.
Yes.
Close your eyes. I'm thinking, why... There's a psychological concept called the guilt cycle, where... what's his name? He's an Austin psychologist, and he wrote a book about it, but I want to say Dr. Stephen Ray, maybe. That's probably wrong. But he was talking about how if someone... So he's kind of speaking to the religion concept, where, say you're a religion, and you're raising kids, and you're telling them you can't have sex before marriage. Like, it's wrong. Mm-hmm. It's a sin. And you'll go to hell if you do too much of it and die before you get forgiveness. So, but the whole time, they know, and it's no secret, that especially a male, testosterone, 13 years old on average, it's biologically imperative for the survival of us as the human organism to have sex. So if you don't have sex, you're going to have a wet dream at least. Mm-hmm. Like, you're going to come in your dreams. And you're going to get all over your bed, your sheets. It'll happen, one way or another, it happens. And so, but when you do have sex, so say you're 16, and your whole life you've been told that was a sin, and it's wrong, or let's just say it's wrong, then when you do have sex, or you see those nipples, you're going to start to feel guilty. And when you feel guilty, who do you have to go to get forgiveness of the guilt? The person who told you not to do it in the first place. And that's the cycle, that's the trap people get into, and it's a power trap. Because now if I'm the priest, and I want to ask you about your experience, but if I'm the priest, this person now has to come to me and ask for forgiveness for having sex, and so now I have a certain amount of control over this person. Even though we all know, and everybody knows, science, it's no secret, that, look, you're going to have sex anyway. So now I'm setting everyone up to fail, and to commit sins, like I know this ahead of time, just so I can maintain power. Mm-hmm. So, and to me, like, that's a very common thing in religion in America, but with your experience, I know you can have, no surprise in Italy, raised Catholic. How did the priests and the church, how did they approach sexuality?
Well,
besides not having sex, I mean, I know that.
Yeah, what they teach you is not having sex. You need to be married to. So
they do say they specifically talk about. Okay.
But they tell you, oh wow. That's unfortunately, I have to say that I don't remember ever that someone told me you can't have sex before you're married. You don't masturbate. All of that.
So
like,
no
directly to me, I don't remember that. So I don't think that ever happened, because I think you will remember that, because it's a little bit strange.
Yeah, I remember it because it was crazy. Yeah.
Now, I remember my father talking about the not having kids, so having sex, but you can't have kids. That doesn't work. If you have sex, you need to have kids, right? That's what the church tells you.
Right.
But almost never it would be really hard to find a family in Italy that has more than 3 kids. And sometimes when they have 3 kids, the third one was a mistake, many times. But sometimes not. Fortunately, it seems I was not a mistake. But anyway, so obviously everybody was having sex, but they were using some system, obviously. So I guess that is the Italian way to always find a way. Someone is telling you that you can do that, but first of all, there's no one in your bedroom that is checking what you do. And second, it doesn't work. Practically doesn't work.
Right.
So you need to have sex, and even priests sometimes they had sex and kids. I mean, how many comedy there are with priests that have sex or even kids all around. Anyway, it's even the reality.
Did you feel like, so then, like, just growing up in Sicily, you felt like, or you knew that priests would have sex, or you just?
I don't think I ever met any priest that was having sex.
Okay.
But I never met any priest that was crazy, like telling you that you are going to hell because you are having sex, or because you are thinking about women, all of that. I never heard that. I never had any of those, oh, maybe he's thinking that, or maybe he doesn't want to do that, and all of that. I mean, you knew that there was a rule, but then you do whatever you want.
Right.
So when I had sex the first time, I never felt guilty.
Yeah. Which is I think that's a good thing.
Even if it happened, was like less than a second. So, and I was back having sex with the same girl.
Back on the horse.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So, and I think, going back to that, I think the only problem is in the case when someone very young has sex, it's that after that you open the door that you can't close anymore. You will need to have sex. It's something that you will feel. It's it's something.
Yeah,
that,
masturbation can't keep up with
exactly.
the real experience.
It's like you are completing, I don't know if it's English, but you are getting one thing with the other person you are having sex.
Yeah, of course.
It's like a game, something that you do with someone else that you need to do. It's like playing cards by yourself. It can work until you didn't play with anyone, but once you play with someone else, you can play by yourself.
That's a really good analogy. I've always kind of wondered this. I've never asked anybody or even tried to look it up, but is a priest allowed to masturbate?
I have no idea.
I
never asked that, and
Do you assume that they're allowed to, or not? Like, if you had to guess.
Well,
Like, does the Pope masturbate?
Normally the Pope is pretty old, so maybe he doesn't
he couldn't do it.
I don't know. Maybe he doesn't feel that need anymore. I don't know. When I will be old, I will know if I still feel the same thing or not.
Well, how old's the new Pope? How old is he?
70 something.
How old's your dad?
Well, yeah, but
so
if let's say that this Pope never had sex, I think if you
which could you really even believe that? Really?
Well, I believe that there are people that are not really interested in sex.
Okay, yeah, okay, I agree. I totally agree, yeah.
Let's do the hypothesis that this guy is not really in sex, never was feeling any interested attraction, and so he never had sex, and maybe he masturbated a couple of times in his life.
Yeah.
I would think that by now is not having very strong desire, I would think. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, that is his problem. But we don't. Well, maybe it's just an easy solution for a religion that is not true. Many other religions could say, you did the sin. You can say, well, I was wrong. I did something that I shouldn't do, but I did, and I agree with the idea that it's wrong. And so God will forgive you. That doesn't mean that tomorrow you are not doing the same mistake again.
Yeah.
Because you will be again the same kind of feelings, situation, ambience, and you do the same mistake again. And can be hypocritical maybe. But I think for the reality, how many times you didn't obey to your father?
Yeah.
Not about sex, whatever. Touching something without washing your hands, or not eating something that you're supposed. How many times? And that doesn't make you a bad person. So I don't know. That is my point of view.
What's just really interesting, I've said this a lot, but is when I went to the Vatican, and you see priceless works like statues, from as far back as the Greeks. But hundreds of them, lining the hallways. You've been to the Vatican, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So if anyone else has been to the Vatican, they know exactly what I'm talking about. There's one very obvious thing missing from all these really, and let's just get it straight, like all the men, the statues of men are like very well-defined men. They're muscles and tone, they have abs, big pecs, like they've been working out.
Yeah.
It's like the perfect male, except every one of them has their penis missing. And I always wonder, like, who's the priest or the pope who has all these penises in one giant room somewhere?
Unfortunately, it was enough one stupid person to break all of them. So
that just seems surreal. I mean, I know that's probably more of an old something that happened centuries ago. It probably wouldn't happen today, but I don't know. But in the big picture, I just think, like, that's part of the absurdity. It's like David has a penis, and when you see the statue in Florence...
Like the Pope has a penis.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, why do we have to act... That's what I don't get. Why you have to act like something that's true isn't true. It's objectively true that there's a penis and testicles and a scrotum and vagina and ovary, all this stuff. So, like, can't we just talk? I mean, why can't we talk about it?
Well, anyway, what I think is that, the penis is not there because it was enough to break it one time and then was gone. So now it's not there anymore because someone
someone just went on a penis rampage?
Yeah.
But I'm saying these penises, that these penises are somewhere. Someone didn't just break them and throw them away. Because if you're crazy enough to break a penis off, you're probably crazy enough to keep them and have an entire goddamn wall full of penises.
I don't know.
I don't think you're...
completely destroyed. Or
you think they're throwing them away? I don't think so. I don't believe it.
Like
Savonarola just burning penises. Of course, I don't think he ever burned a penis.
Maybe they are in the wall of many Roman houses. Like,
well, that's what I'm saying. Like, they're...
Yeah, I mean, everything is possible. But I don't know. What I can say is that, I was in a religious high school.
Okay.
So I had all the preparation for the Easter, all the preparation for the Christmas and all of that. And I would say to defend the priest, I mean the real one, I can say that when you are in that mindset and all the religions, thought and Bible and all the study, you can get absolutely far from the desire, for example, for a woman. Now, today I think it's much harder, especially in Europe, because you can see naked women all the time on TV. So then you need to turn off your TV. You can't watch that anymore. But what I'm saying is that I believe that there are people that are priests or nun or monks that are probably able, with a lot of focusing and working on their mind, not having any of these thoughts.
Well, kind of like a Buddhist monk.
Exactly, yeah.
But it's almost like there's this idea that that's a way to develop control.
Exactly.
To be able to control that. And
that's what supposedly makes you different than an animal.
Right,
like
but
you're hungry and you don't eat because you say, I'm not eating because I
like fasting or something.
Yeah, I
too.
can fight my desire.
Yeah, and I just wonder, isn't that kind of missing the point? Isn't the point to be able to integrate those experiences into reality, and then to be able to grow from them, evolve with them, and experience them, versus shunning them? And it's kind of like Terence McKenna once talked about. These monks will sit around meditating for decades, and at some point they might reach nirvana, and they might reach that perfect bliss spot, and they have this crazy psychedelic experience. Or you can just take 5 grams of mushrooms and eat those, and you can skip 20 years,
Yeah.
and you can have the same exact experience where you're connecting with nature and connecting with humans and the people around you. And I'm not saying that that's bad to meditate, but I feel like, if you're just going to teach their own, if they want to do it, for sure, they should do it. But it just seems like they're missing the point of humanity. And I think humanity is the experience.
You could say that it's even kind of selfish. Because anyway, whatever you get from all that meditation will be just for yourself. You can't share with no one else.
Well, then I think they would probably say the enlightenment can then be seen by other people. Yeah. I don't know,
But, I don't know, I was just thinking about the meditating thing. When I was in Monaco, I was working as a dishwasher, and my job was cleaning the pot. And I was working for the kitchen, a big kitchen from the bigger restaurant. I was getting all the pot from the kitchen, and I was washing them by hand. So sometimes I was getting there like 3:30 in the afternoon, and until 6 I was washing them, just no stop, being there and washing. So of course your hands, they can work by themselves. You can feel with your fingers if it's greasy or not, if it's clean. So your mind is completely free. And yeah, sometimes it was just traveling, but many times you just think about everything. It can be the humanity problem or your problem, or just some idea comes in your mind. And so you maybe don't really need to be a monk to just do meditation, and even just working and making some money and getting paid for thinking about that. But yeah, it was just my experience. What I'm saying is not, okay, of course a monk can, it's totally different situation, but you can use your mind anytime some kind of work, they can be stupid, but if you are smart enough to use your mind, they can still be helpful.
That's a real, I relate that to, myself, when I'm doing something like that, like a monotonous task where you don't, maybe initially dishwashing, like you said, you got to be thinking, you got to know what the process
the beginning,
is.
Of course, you don't know anything, you're very, very focused.
And then once you get past that, your mind's free. And so, for me, I love to play, audio in the background. Maybe it's another podcast, or it's a TED Talk.
I couldn't do that, so I was not allowed.
But then you can be in your head, and you can use that as a form of meditation. And to me, Sounds like probably the better thing versus excluding yourself from all of society to quote meditate. And I'm not trying to make a value judgment on it because I don't have a value judgment on it. It just seems like you can still participate, you can be a dishwasher in Monaco and still meditate. You don't have to be a monk in the Himalayas to meditate.
Yes.
I guess is really the point.
Yeah, then probably you need to be a monk for 10 years and then you know exactly what it's about, and then probably you can do your
And save that sperm up, because then when you do go, it's going to be a waterfall.
Well, for what I know, it has only 24 hours life, the sperm. So has to go away.
So there's no build-up?
No. So maybe there can be a
so your loads aren't bigger if you wait for 2 months? You don't think you probably have a bigger load?
I don't think so, because for what I know it's only 24 hours living. So after that has to go out. I don't think we keep something dead in our body. I mean we do, but it goes pretty regularly out.
So then everybody might have a capacity.
Yes.
Like there's a limit.
It goes out. And
but maybe some people have a big capacity, is what I'm saying.
Maybe they produce more, yeah.
Yeah.
Also depends, for what I know, again, depends on what you drink, what you eat. So if you drink a lot, your sperm will be more fluid. I don't know if there are more sperms or not, but there will be a bigger quantity of liquid.
And it can affect the taste and flavor as well,
exactly,
too,
yeah,
for sure. And that's really important to keep your loads clean.
Yes.
And to clean up and just wash up, like Joey Diaz says. You gotta keep that asshole clean. You gotta keep the scrotum clean.
Well, that's the most important part.
Yeah, you don't know what's gonna happen in a given day, and you need to be prepared because no one wants dirty ass or dirty balls in their face.
Unless you have a bathroom next to you, so then you can always.
But in America, though, you don't have the bidet,
Yes.
so you can't clean up as nice and fresh. And if anyone doesn't know, like, the bidet is just
It's not for your feet.
It's not for your feet, yeah. It's an all-purpose genitalia cleanser, like a little mini toilet. Like every European bathroom I've ever been in has a bidet.
Well, in Italy and other countries from the east. But for example, in France, it's really hard to find.
So it's not common? But it sounds like bidet is a French word.
Well, yeah, they invented it, but then decided it was taking too much space in the toilet.
Oh, fuck those French.
Yes.
They tend to have a little scent, like a unique scent.
Well, I guess at some point they were using it, and then Italians realized it was a very smart idea, and there is not a bathroom in Italy without a bidet.
Yeah, I've never. I think I'm trying to think. Even in like the Netherlands, I feel like I saw the bidet was common.
It's possible.
And in Spain too, I think it was pretty common. In Monaco, do you have bidets?
Well, Monaco, I was going also only in one house that was very nice house, and I think had a bidet.
They did have one.
But you know.
So you want to keep clean. You want to keep the pubic and genitalia area clean and the ass area clean. You need to go buy a bidet. It's probably not that expensive in all reality.
I don't know. And Italy is average because
everyone has one, so everyone's clean. So you find an Italian, you go to Italy, you can get that clean shit with the bidet. We didn't even get to talk, and we're kind of pretty much up against the clock, but was the current situation in Italy.
Well, that needs probably another one.
And I think that's a whole other one. But the short thing is, I'll just ask you a question. What's the future of Italy? I mean, are they going to, you feel like it's going to stick around in the Euro and the EU?
Well, I hope that we will stay in the Euro, because if we leave the Euro system, I think it will be a suicide.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's an excellent thing. It's the most important things about all the Europe Union, I think, is the Euro. That, of course, caused many problems. Whatever, people are very against the Euro. I think more about all the problems they got with that. But traveling and doing business, I think, is absolutely a good thing.
I'm on the same page. What do you think about
the politic situation?
Well, I mean, that we can get really deep on that.
No, it's just it's not only my thought. The people that have some mind that they can think they are all agreeing that the situation is very similar at the period pre-fascist.
Oh, really?
Just before Mussolini came in.
So do you think
the same kind of chaos?
So do you think there's the potential for a similar solution?
Well,
like
the only one that could be a new Mussolini would be the leader of the five-star.
Ah, Grillo, yeah.
But I think that I don't think Mussolini was very smart. Obviously,
But he was a nice dresser. He knew how to dress.
Well, whatever. he was obviously he organized what he did very well. I don't think Grillo. So if we would say that Mussolini was not very smart, I think Grillo is much more stupid. So I don't think he has the ability to organize what Mussolini did in the past.
Okay.
So from that point of view, we should be safe. But the situation is really bad because there is not a drop of democracy in the situation where we are.
And we've talked, a lot about this, but it seems like one of the problems with a lot of these European countries, especially the southern European countries, is a problem of spending. So I always see these solutions proposed, and maybe it's a German solution, or it's a EU solution, or it's a bailout solution, where they say, raise taxes, and Italy raised property taxes, all these new taxes to fund to clear up the debt. Is there no one in the entire country of Italy who simply says, we don't need new taxes, we just need to cut some of this goddamn spending, and maybe we'll be okay?
There is one, and there will be probably many people listening to this that will be like, oh, he's absolutely crazy and for Berlusconi. But the only one that say that the problem is not the solution is not taxes is Berlusconi. Said taxes is absolutely wrong, and the only thing we can do is reducing what we spend. And they also say that since we have the democracy machine in Italy, was never no one ever tried to reduce the expenses. So he was saying the last pre-election fights, it's many years that Italy as a bureaucratic machine is not reviewed. So normally in a business, after 10 years you can do much of cuttings because you can reorganize all the machine and you can economize a lot of money with that system. So he was saying what we need to do is probably we can cut 10% of all the expenses that we have, which is practically nothing.
Nothing, yeah.
But will be a big amount of money. But
that's it. Well, there was on Twitter of all places. I don't even know how I came across it. But I know they're a very small, obscure party, but it was that Fare party. They seemed like they at least had good ideas.
Well, the leader was a friend of Berlusconi for a long time.
Oh, really? Okay,
yes.
I didn't know that.
And then at some point, I was very happy that he was in the party or was going to run. But then at some point he decided to do his own party, which is fine.
Yeah.
But at some point he decided we are fighting against Berlusconi's party, which was absolutely a suicide because you just were born yesterday. You can fight something that is 20 years of history.
Yeah.
And so what was going to be was this small party was going to steal some vote from the PDL, and they were not going to even get in the parliament, and was just a wasting of votes.
Well, there is something to be said though about the idea of stealing a vote. In other words, that it is quite narcissistic to assume that a party already has votes before votes have been cast. So in other words,
but no, we are talking about statistics.
Yeah. We see that. Like I came across it a lot in the American election when I'm sitting here supporting Gary Johnson as a third party who only got 1%. So let's be honest, like 1 million votes. Yeah. But that was double what previously happened for a third party, which is big. I mean, whatever, but still, next to nobody voted for him. But that was a common argument was, well, you're wasting your vote. I'm thinking, and it's totally different. So I'm not comparing to Italy, but in America with Democrats and Republicans, there's little to no difference between the two.
Yes.
They all support the same fucked up policies and the same ridiculous things that keep America in really shitty situations, whether it's civil liberties or war around the world or spending problems. Like, neither party is going to solve it. And at least in Italy with, Grillo, there's just multi-party system.
It's much easier to get in the fight.
So you can actually work that out. But, we're going to have you come back on.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to come back on soon. We'll do a part 2 and talk more direct on the political issue, because I know we're probably going to be continue talking about this when we go outside to get this jerk chicken.
Yeah.
Makes a jerk chicken. It's Gabriele's birthday, and his woman, how do you say woman in Italian? Donna. Yeah, I was just say Donna. And so we're making some jerk chicken. It's a great recipe from podcast number 1, Tommy Conte, famous international soccer star. He gave me this recipe straight from Sierra Leone. It's kind of an Africanized version, but it's going to be really good. We're going to eat that up, celebrate birthday. Thanks for coming on. Mind Novelty number 4. Grazie mille. And the Alamo Basement Studios, we're still live in full effect. We're going to continue this. We're bringing people all over the world, from Sicily to Africa to you name it. It's not going to stop. We're going to continue bringing this shit to you. Great, amazing people. And Gabrielle, once again, thank you. I love your story. We're going to talk more in depth and detail in the future. And I know everyone's going to look forward to that conversation. So, hey, let's just say peace out. Let's go get this food on.
Yeah.
All right. See ya. Ciao.
See you.